How's it going, guys? Randall, aka Shizukats, here on the Tressa's Collectibles channel, and welcome back. This is going to be our first product opening video in a little bit, and today we're going to be taking a look at Umamusume, the multimedia franchise that has taken the world by storm over the last year. The Weiss Schwarz set in the Japanese version came out pretty much almost exactly 3 years ago, as of the recording of this video. But today we are finally going to be getting into the English version of Umamusume with the 2 trial decks as well as the booster boxes for the booster set. We're going to be doing our usual 1 of each trial deck, 2 booster boxes, and then coming up later this year, we do already have confirmed the booster set expansion for the movie Beginning of a New Era. So that should be really exciting to look forward to as well. For those of you who haven't gotten onto the Umamusume craze, basically the concept of this franchise is that they have taken the likeness and names of some of the most famous Japanese racehorses and anthropomorphized them into these cute anime girl characters, as Japan does. And the idea behind the franchise is to recontextualize their achievements and as well as their downfalls or like just their stories overall into these characters, and you through like the video game, the mobile game, as well as the anime, allow you to experience their stories in pretty much like just a brand new way. And so the anime, in my opinion, did a really good job at like conveying the stories of victory that some of these characters have gone through, especially like season 2. For those of you who have not watched the anime, season 2 is definitely a must-watch in my opinion. And yeah, and as far as the video game goes, it's came out a little over a year ago in global, or I think it might have been like just about a year ago in global, and it has been doing extremely well. And I started playing it on the global version, and I'm still playing it to this day. But considering that the booster set in JP came out 3 years ago, which would be 2023, and the mobile game had already existed for 2 years, I think like even more than 2 years at that point, we're actually going to be seeing in these booster sets quite a few characters that are not currently playable in the global version of the game. And we'll be able to take a look at some of those characters. And we'll also get to experience some of the neat flavor that goes on in this set. For those of you who are familiar with how the mobile game works, there are going to be some effects that will kind of like fit thematically with what the character is able to do in the game. Now, I think I've said just about enough. Let's just go ahead and get straight into our opening. We're going to be taking a look at one of each of the 2 trial decks today. So the 2 trial decks are labeled as Race 1 and Race 2, and each one does have a different play pattern as well between the 2. Race 1 is going to be the more simple of the 2 trial decks. It just plays a very straightforward strategy, while Race 2 is going to be utilizing the brand new mechanic that, at least in English, it is a mechanic that is exclusive to Umamusume's Weiss Schwarz set. On the JP side, there is another set, Summer Pockets, that does gain access to this mechanic as well. I actually haven't taken a look at what the mechanic is called in English yet, so let me just pull some cards out of this conveniently placed playset that I have right here, and I can take a look at what the mechanic is called. So in English, the mechanic is called Inspire. So like inspiration is the event that you go through multiple times in a run in Umamusume, where you can get extra stats and potentially learn new abilities. And in the JP side, we call this keyword inheritance or inherit, but in English it's going to be called Inspire, which I think is totally fine as well. Basically, the idea behind the Inspire mechanic is it's going to basically it kind of what's the word? It takes from when like thoroughbred horses, they like breed and pass down their genetics, and you end up getting like really strong race horses in that respect. And so that passes over to the game, where you pick essentially parents for the Umamusume that you're trying to train, and as I said, they can pass down stats and extra skills. In Weiss Schwarz, the way this is going to work is that the character with the Inspire keyword is going to be on stage, and then you can play another character. So let me just, for example, if I play another character to the stage, you can take the character that has the Inspire keyword and place it underneath that new character as a marker. And what this is going to allow you to do is it's going to give some of your cards maybe extra power, maybe an extra ability, or a strengthened version of an ability that they already have. And so we'll be taking a look at some of the various ways the Inspire mechanic can be used throughout this video. But yeah, just going back to the trial decks real quick. So the Race 1 trial deck is going to be the simpler of the two, while Race 2 is going to be utilizing the Inspire mechanic on its cards. So without further ado, let's get right into our opening with Race 1. As far as the trial deck ratios are gonna be going, it should be just like the normal trial deck case ratios, where you can expect to get 2 SPs per sealed case of 48 trial decks. For Race 1, there are... Oh, not SPs, sorry. There are OFRs in these trial decks, not SPs. The OFRs are going to be just the climaxes, I believe. So you have a chance to get the OFR version of Special Week's Choice Climax or Silent Suzuka's +2 Soul Climax in this particular trial deck. While in the Race 2 trial deck, you can get the OFR version of the Satono Diamond Stock Soul Climax or the Narita Top Road Pants Climax. So let's get into it with our Race 1 trial deck. Now, even though there aren't any SPs in the trial deck, the OFR for specifically Satono Diamond has been quite valuable on the JP side. I remember when the set first came out, trial deck prices were kind of in the dumpster just as a result of there being no SPs. But as far as playable cards, okay, you know what? We're just going to have to get right into this. As far as playable cards go, Satono Diamond from the Race 2 trial deck is definitely one of the most playable cards in all of Umamusume, and it is even seeing use today on the JP side 3 years later. It's just an extremely strong card. Now, as far as the trial deck contents, we are going to be getting our usual quick guide. Teaches you all of the rules and how the gameplay flows and things like that. Just a really quick rundown of the rules, for those of you who are newer to the game. And then, of course, we have our nice rubber playmat here. Unfortunately, Umamusume's English version did not come with a playmat of its own, but you will, in your trial deck, be getting the paper version of this playmat. It tells you pretty much everything you need to know, and always on the back side we will have like a kind of mini guide of how to play the trial deck, as well as some additions that you can add from the booster set. And then in the bottom left corner right here, it will have instructions for if you get 2 copies of the trial deck, which would allow you to have a play set of every card. It would tell you which cards you can add in or take out in order to fix up the deck. And here it says to take out the Nice Nature and Mayano Top Gun. I would actually not do that, but we'll get more into that when we take a look at our actual Trial Deck Plus video coming up soon on the channel for a more in-depth way on how you guys can enhance these trial decks. All right, now let's get into our first trial deck. So every trial deck is a pre-constructed deck of 50 cards. It's going to have the exact same 50 every time, but you will have a chance to get a random foil from the trial deck as well. You will have, of course, a guaranteed foil at the front, which is going to be in this case, the Faster Than Anyone event card. This is going to be the event card for the Silence Suzuka finisher. And the way this event works is you are at level 2, you play it, and then all it does immediately is it just goes to memory. And then it's just going to sit there for a bit. And then starting the next turn, you can take the events from memory and put it into your waiting room in order to summon the Silence Suzuka level 3 from your hand to the stage. And this can be done even if you're not at level 3 yet, and it allows you to play Suzuka for no stock cost as well. And then you also give that Suzuka plus 1000 power. So basically, this pretty much just perfectly encapsulates Suzuka's strategy of just being way ahead of everybody else with that runaway strategy and coming out as early as possible and getting the job done. Now, this trial deck, Race 1, is going to be yellow and green. And it's going to have yellow in the lower level cards with the level 1 special week combo into the level 3 Suzuka. So first we have Ogre Cap. Probably one of the most popular Umas in the global community, mostly because of the Cinderella Grey anime. Her card in the trial deck is not particularly amazing, but it's a useful card nonetheless. Assist 500, and then you can pay 1, sacrifice this to top check up to 4, and add a character from among them to your hand. And we're gonna be getting a full 4 copies of this. For each one of these cards, we're going to either see 1 copy or 3 copies as we go through the first parts of the trial deck, and then we'll have the final copy of each card will be at the end when we find out what our foil is going to be. Next we have Tokaiteo. Another fan favorite. When this is placed on stage from hand, if you have another character, this gets 2k, so she can swing for 4k on the turn she's played. And when she reverses her battle opponent, if you have another Umamusume character, you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's a level 2 or higher character, you get to add it to your hand. This is a card that we saw in the Makain trial deck, and it's a pretty decent card. Sometimes allows you to get a free plus, and it's a 4k beater. Speaking of 4k beaters, we also have Golshi, Gold Ship. Just a 4k beater that says you cannot play events or backups while this card is on your stage. So she's an oversized beater with a downside. And then now we have the special week climax combo. So this is going to be a climax combo with choice. We'll go ahead and grab that real quick. Climax combo with choice. Of course, special week has to have her beloved Silent Suzuka with her on the card. So a lot of the cards in this set are going to be using this like stock artwork, either of them in the Trace in uniform or of them just in their race outfit. But some of the cards, just like the level 2, well, okay, I guess this is like the cover art for the game, but like just like this climax card, so all of the climax cards and some of the character cards and event cards are going to feature artwork from either the events, the in-game events from the mobile game, as this is a mobile game set, or they're going to feature support card art, so art from like the SR and SSR rarity support cards, so you might see some familiar faces that you have been using in your runs in the mobile game. This particular card, I believe, is from an event artwork, though. The level 1 special week combo is a 104k. During your turn, if you have another Umamusume character, she gets plus 3,000 power, so she gets to go up to 7,000 power by herself and 8,000 power with the climax, which is a very nice offensive stat line. And when she reverses her battle opponent while you have her climax in play, you can... Oh, and you have another Umamusume character. That's like pretty much a fake condition. You get to salvage an Umamusume character from your waiting room of your choice. And then also she will gain Hand Encore and plus 1,500 power during the opponent's next turn. So allows you to potentially reuse her and go for another turn of combo next turn. Okay, next we have Winning Ticket. This is a 1-0 that gains power on attack and has Hand Encore. We have Mayano Top Gun, which is just a vanilla, but don't let her vanilla status deceive you. This card is actually quite useful in combination with another card in the trial deck. We have Super Creek, our 1-1. She is pretty much just a beat stick, but she also gives 500 power to all of your other characters. You know, she got to give all of your other Umas the Goo Goo Babies treatment. We have Haru Urara, the 2-1 level assist of the trial deck. In addition to being a level assist, you can also rest her to draw a card and discard a card. One of our level 3s for the trial deck is going to be Mejuro McQueen. She has on play top check up to 3, add one of them from among them to your hand and send the rest to waiting room. This can grab events and climaxes as well, so it can be quite useful to have in the end game to dig for missing pieces such as your level 3 finisher climax. Alright, and we have the other copies of Special Week's Climax, and now getting onto the green half of the trial deck, we have Nice Nature desu, Oisu, and this is actually the card that goes with Mayano Top Gun and is an extremely powerful pair of cards. So Nice Nature says when she's placed on stage from hand, you can use her Bond ability, so you clock the top card of your deck to take 1 damage essentially, and you get to grab Mayano Top Gun from your waiting room and add it to your hand. Now, this allows you to get a +1 in card advantage for taking 1 damage, but it's an extremely strong effect when combined with Nice Nature's other effect, which we refer to in Weiss Schwarz as a helmet ability from the Kanata level 0 in Hololive, where she wears a helmet. So that effect is you sacrifice the Nice Nature, and you discard a card from your hand to the waiting room. And it allows you to salvage any Umamusume character of your choice from the waiting room and add it to your hand. So ordinarily, this card would allow you to only get the Maino Top Gun, but you can use this helmet ability to discard the Maino Top Gun that you just got, and then sacrifice the Nice Nature to grab anything you want. And so this is an extremely powerful ability. Another extremely powerful part of this effect is that you can actually loop it. So what you can do is, you have Maino Top Gun in your waiting room, so you play Nice Nature, you clock the top card of your deck, you get Nice Nature back, and then you sacrifice Nice Nature and discard the Top Gun to get Nice Nature again, and then you keep doing this. And so the reason you would want to do this is to forcefully level yourself up. So this can be very useful in cases where like you're stuck at level 0 and you really want to go to level 1, so you can play your level 1 combos like Special Week. You can force yourself up. But also at level 3, if your opponent is trying to prevent you from getting to level 3 and using your strongest cards to finish them off, you can use Nice Nature's ability repeatedly in order to force yourself to level 3 and look to end the game. And that is an extremely powerful option to have, especially when it requires no stock. Like other decks, if you want to force yourself up to level 3, you're going to have to like pay some stock to do it. But Nice Nature literally just says, oh, I have Maino Top Gun in my waiting room. I'm going to go up and I'm going to try to finish the game right now. And so for that reason, in the JP side, Nice Nature is actually one of the cards in Umamusume that is restricted for use. So the Nice Nature card, as well as 2 other cards, which are going to be the Mejiro Bright and the Akikawa Yayoi event, which we'll take a look at both of those cards as we go through our box opening. But those are 2 other really, really strong cards. And on the JP side, you are restricted in only being able to use one of those 3 cards within your deck. So yeah, Nice Nature, really, really strong card. For our brainstorm of the trial deck, we have Agnes Tachyon, another really, really fan favorite from the Westerners, especially the ones that have seen the Road to the Top, the Beginning of a New Era movie. This card is just a generic trial deck, draw brainstorm 5, and then during your turn, all of your other Umamusume characters get 500 power, which is useful for the Special Week, allowing her to get higher power and reverse her battle opponents and use her climax combo. We're going to get 4 copies of Tachyon total. This is pretty much just going to be a mainstay in your back row when you're playing the trial deck. For one of our hand fix options in the trial deck, we have Daiwa Scarlet. On play, you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it is an Umamusume character, you add it to your hand and discard a card. And also, when placed on stage from hand, you get to give one of your characters 1500 power. This can be useful for buffing up Special Week to get reverses, or just, buff whatever you need to get over your opponent's board. Our level 1 counter is going to be Machikane Fukukitaru, and I think this was a little bit of a missed opportunity for this trial deck. I feel like they could have made this a 1/1 2k backup with a soul trigger that refunds a stock when you use the backup ability. That would have fit with the fact that the deck uses choice climaxes, but instead we just have a 1/0 regular 2k backup. It's not exactly the greatest in this deck. I guess you could use it to protect something like maybe a Super Creek, because Super Creek is a higher power card that could be worth defending with the counter, whereas some of your other level 1 options like the Special Week, like Winning Ticket, they even have Encore that can just save themselves to retain themselves on the board. So not the greatest inclusion for this trial deck, but it's here nonetheless. For our level 2 beater, where we have Daiwa Scarlet, we of course have to have Vodka alongside her. When this card attacks, this gains 1000 power times the number of your other Umamusume characters, and this has Hand Encore. A lot of Encore cards in this set, which is, or in this trial deck, which is pretty interesting. And then here we have our level 3 finisher, Silent Suzuka. So when she's placed on stage from hand, you heal 1 from the top of your clock, and she gets plus 3000 power until end of turn. Notably, if you bring her into play via the Faster Than Anyone event, she did come into play from your hand, even though it was from the effect of this event, so she will still get the heal and 3000 power from her on-play ability. Her climax combo is with +2 soul and activates on attack. She deals 2 damage to the opponent and loses 1 soul until end of turn. So this allows her to swing for a more favorable 3 damage rather than the 4 that she would otherwise be swinging with a +2 soul. So very solid combo, and it's actually quite usable alongside the event. It's just, compared to some of the other options available in Umamusume, it's not the most flashy. So we are going to only get 2 copies of Silent Suzuka per trial deck. If you get 2 copies of the Race 1 trial deck, you will want to up this to 4 copies. Here's our second copy of the Faster Than Anyone event, the non-foil, and then here we have our Silent Suzuka +2 Soul Climax. Notably, not necessarily +2 Soul, but there is support for climaxes that have 2 Soul triggers in this set that you might want to play. I think cards like I think Gold Ship, I think even is a +2 Soul support. Or no, it's not Gold Ship. Gold Ship is a level 3 combo. We'll take a look at the booster set when we get to it. But for now, let's find out what our foil is. So all of the cards are going to be in the same order as the ones we already opened, and once we skip a card, that'll basically tell us what our foil is. So here we have Ogre Cap, Tokai Teo, Gold Ship, Special Week. Looks like we're going to be getting Winning Ticket in this trial deck because that's the card that we skipped. So we'll just go through all the others real quick. Here's our Choice Climax, +2 Soul, and Winning Ticket. And all of the RRR rarity cards from this trial deck are going to have this stylized color background. It's going to be a pretty wide variation of different colors since they're going to be personalized for each of the characters. And the does make the SRs stand out, or not the SRs, the RRRs stand out quite a bit compared to all these normal cards where they just have the same generic background. So that's pretty nice. Now let's get into our Race 2 trial deck. Okay, getting into Race 2 trial deck, this one is going to feature some of the later characters in the franchise. Characters like Kita-san Black and Satono Diamond are going to be some of the feature characters, as well as Narita Top Road. So this one's getting into more of the like Season 3 and Road to the Top ONA era. Now, for those of you who play the mobile game, I'm sure you are sick of seeing Kita-san Black everywhere. Kita-san Black, just one of the strongest cards that you could be running in the mobile game at the time of this recording. But this trial deck, and honestly Umamusume as a whole, as a Weiss set, is the Satono Diamond game. Satono Diamond is one of the strongest characters with some of the strongest cards in Umamusume that are still seeing play to this day in JP. They are just some of the strongest cards that you have access to. And we're going to be taking a good look into those cards and why they're so strong throughout this video. So, here we go, Race 2 trial deck. So whereas the first one was yellow and green, this second trial deck is going to be red and blue. For our cover card, I think this is the anniversary artwork right now for the mobile game. Or it might be second anniversary, I'm not 100% sure. But our event for this trial deck, as well as our guaranteed SR cover card, is going to be Next Dream. So this is a 2/3 event, and it is an anti-damage counter. So you need to have a full board of 5 Umamusume characters in order to play this. When your opponent attacks you, you can play this event, choose one of the characters in battle, which is going to be your opponent's character. It cannot deal damage to you this turn, and then you also get to choose one of your characters and give it 1500 power until the end of the turn. Okay, for our first character, we have the Brainstorm of the deck, Yaino Muteki. This is a draw Brainstorm 5, just like Agnes Tachyon from the first trial deck. When she's placed on stage from hand, you can discard an Umamusume character in order to draw a card. So, some nice hand filter. And it makes it so that once you have committed your back row to the board, even if you draw additional copies of Yaino Muteki, she still has some usefulness later on in the game to use as a hand filter option. Next, we have Admire Vega, Ayabe. This is what we call a JC profile, where when your other Umamusume character is being front attacked, you can pay 1 and sack Admire Vega in order to return that character to your hand. I'll let you guys decide whether or not this is flavor with her self-deprecating tendencies, but this is a pretty good card nonetheless, being able to use this effect to gain additional card advantage. So let me give you an example. So like if you have 3 cards in your front row, and then you attack with all 3, under normal circumstances, your opponent can probably run over all 3 of those cards, and then you lose all 3. But using Admire Vega's effect, you can sacrifice her if she was going to get defeated anyway, and then you can take one of your other characters that would also be defeated, return it back to your hand, and save it for a future turn. Additionally, Admire Vega's other effect is once per turn, when you use an act ability, such as Yaina Mutaki's Brainstorm, you get to choose one of your characters and give it 1,000 power until end of the turn. A lot of the time, it is just going to go to Admire Vega herself, because in order to actually use her ability on the next turn, she does have to survive the swing in, so giving her extra power will help out with that. For another act ability that we can use to proc the Admire Vega, we have Machikane Tannhäuser. So she has the act ability, you can rest one of your Umamusume characters. Oh, no. So she's a front row. My bad. So you put Machikane Tannhäuser in the front row, and then you can use her act ability, resting one of your other Umamusume characters to give herself plus 1,000 power until end of turn, which would in turn proc Admire Vega's ability to give 1,000 power anywhere. So you could give it to herself. You could even give it to the Machikane Tannhäuser. And Machitan's other effect is when she's placed on stage from hand, you can pay 1 and discard a card to salvage any Umamusume character from your waiting room, and then also give one of your other characters 1,000 power until end of turn. So pretty nice utility card. Definitely helps you get your hand fixed. We go straight up to the 1/1s. I guess like a lot of the 1/0s are blue in the trial deck. Now that I think about it, it's like Satono Diamond, and I don't actually remember who else is 1/0s in the trial deck. But we have TM Opera O, which is a 1/1/7/5 hand encore. This would be a pretty generic 1/1 standby target if you do want to go that direction with the actual booster set cards itself. Marvelous Sunday is a 2/1 and gains an additional 10,000 power during your turn, so she is a really big beat stick, but really small on defense. Our level assist is Narita Bryan, and you can rest this to choose one of your characters, give it 1,000 power until end of turn. So compared to the Race 1 trial deck, the Haru Urara does give you a bit of hand filter with her ability, while the Agnes Tachyon Brainstorm gives you power. In this deck, it's the opposite. Yaina Muteki is going to be giving you a little bit of hand fix, while Narita Bryan gives you a bit of extra power pump. Our level 3, or one of our level 3s, is going to be Kita-san Black. This card has the effect, when she attacks, you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it is an Umamusume trait character, you get to deal damage to your opponent equal to the level of that revealed card. So like if you reveal a level 2, you deal 2 damage to the opponent. If you reveal a level 0 or Climax, you deal no damage. So you will want to try to have cards that can confirm the top card of your deck when you use this card's ability. For our bond package, we have Mejuro Ryan and Mejuro Bright. Unlike the Nice Nature and Mino Top Gun combination from Race 1, this one doesn't have any cool shenanigans that you can do. Instead, it's just a bonder, and then Mejuro Bright gives Mejuro Ryan is going to be giving Mejuro Bright plus 2,000 power during your turn. So nothing too fancy here. Oh, we get a lot of bonders for this one. I'm guessing that the Mejuro Bright is going to be a 4 of as well then. Okay, here we have our first Inspire card of the trial deck, which is going to be Sakura Chiono. So she gives all of your level 0 and lower characters in front of her plus 1,000 power. And then we have Inspire, which all of the Inspire keyword text is going to be exactly the same across all of the Inspires, except unless it's a level 2 or higher character. So for level 2 or higher characters that have Inspire, such as Sweep Tosho, when you use their Inspire effect, you also get to blind stock 1. This kind of refunds the stock that you used in order to put the character into play in the first place. So we get 4 copies total of Sakura Chiono. And then we also have Sakura Bakshino. This one is a beat stick. If you have 2 or more other Umamusume characters, she goes up to 3,500 power. And she can be even higher if you put something like Sakura Chiono behind her. And then she has the Inspire mechanic. Oh, I also forgot to mention, when you use Inspire, you can actually bring up to 1 marker underneath it along with you. So like, for example, let's say I play Bakushin, and then I Inspire with Sakura Chiono, and then I play... I mean, I don't think... Does this card even need markers? It doesn't, but like, whatever. If you play Sakura Laurel, you can take Sakura Bakushin with the Sakura Chiono marker underneath her and marker both. So you can have up to 2 markers via Inspiration at one time. And this kind of represents the legacy line as well as the sub-legacy line. So I think that's a pretty cool flavor. And then some cards within the set are actually going to require 2 markers for their effect. Like I think Air Groove requires 2 markers. But as far as the trial deck goes, we are only going to need 1 marker for these abilities, I'm pretty sure. Oh wait, this does need a marker. I just like read it too fast. So here we have Sakura Laurel. So this is a 1035. And it says, if you have 2 or more other Umamusume characters, this gets plus 2,000 power, bringing it up to 5/5, which is a vanilla stat line. Additionally, if there is a marker underneath this and you have 2 or more other Umamusume characters, this gets plus 3,000 additional power, so bringing her up all the way up to 8/5, which is very high for level 1s. And then when this is placed into your waiting room from stage, put the top 2 cards of your deck into your waiting room, and if there is a climax among those 2 cards, you can discard a card in order to salvage any character from your waiting room. In my opinion, a lot of the time when you're playing this trial deck, you will not want to be giving the markers to Sakura Laurel. You can just use her as a 5500 beat stick, and then her on-death ability can be useful for retrieving specific cards that you want to be using repeatedly, such as Satono Diamond, which is one of the most ridiculous cards in the entire Umamusume set. So this is a 1/0 During your turn, if you have 2 or more other Umamusume characters, this gets plus 4,000 power, so this card is 8,000 for no reason. And Climax combo is going to be with a Stock Soul Climax. So when you play the Climax, you get to choose a level 1 or lower character from your waiting room, put it into stock, and give all of your characters plus 1 soul. This was from the Kichi-san Black Satono Diamond event in the mobile game. When this attacks, if you have the Climax in play and 2 or more other Umamusume characters, you get to look at up to 5 cards from the top of your deck. Normally, these Climax combos look at usually 4, sometimes 3. But very rarely are we going to be looking at 5 cards, and you get to choose an Umamusume character from among them and add it to your hand. But if you have a marker underneath Satono Diamond, you get to add 2 characters from the top 5 instead. So this allows you to get a lot of hand fixing done, grabbing specific cards. But the strongest part about the Inspire mechanic as a whole is that there are utility cards that have the Inspire mechanic. So like level 0 utility. So like, for example, something that has the, let me pull out the Grass Wonder again. So Machikane Tannhäuser has the effect on play. You can pay 1, discard a card, salvage a character, and then give 1k to one of your other characters. Grass Wonder has that exact same ability, but her second effect is Inspire. And so the reason this is so good is that you can play Grass Wonder and then use her utility. Normally, like in the case of like Machitan, you would just be left with this like 2k attacker. Like what are you doing with a 2k attacker? There's a lot of stuff that you just can't kill. However, if you play a Satono Diamond and you inherit the Grass Wonder as a marker, now you can get the full version of Satono Diamond's ability, grabbing 2 characters instead of 1, so it's kind of like the Grass Wonder is replacing itself with another card from your top 5, and you open up the slot to have a brand new attacker that isn't 2k, and it allows you to activate more abilities within a single turn than you would with a normal deck. And that is a really big part of what makes the Inspire mechanic and this Satono Diamond level 1 so strong, is that you're able to use a lot more abilities, you're able to take a lot more actions and get a lot more done. And so yeah, Satono Diamond, along with the fact that she's just 8k power for some reason, and playing her Climax to get to a stock, extremely powerful card. Okay, I was wrong about Meijuro Bright. There's only 2 copies of Meijuro Bright in the trial deck, but it came with 4 copies of Meijuro Ryan Bonder, which is interesting. And of course, going along with the Meijuro family, we have Meijuro Ardon. Is Meijuro Dober, who is my favorite Umamusume character. Meijuro Dober does not appear to be in this trial deck, but I know she's in the set. She's a really strong card in the set as well. Meijuro Ardon is going to... You know how I said in the Race 1 trial deck how I think the Race 1 should have gotten a 1/1 backup with a Soul Trigger that refunds a stock when you use it? I found it. It's in the Race 2 trial deck. Alright, so yeah, that's Meijuro Ardon's backup. And then for our level 3 finisher, we have Narita Top Road. Don't spell out her acronym for her name. When this is placed on stage from hand, you can heal 1, and then her Climax combo with the Pants Climax, Shine into the Future. Of course, we see her Road to the Top buddies, Tiamat O and Meyer Vega, and then Meisho Doto tagging along as well. So this Climax combo requires her to have a... Okay, so some of the different things that Inspire will do is sometimes it can increase the power of your character, like with Sakura Laurel. It can enhance the ability, like with Satono Diamond. Or in some cases, like with Narita Top Road, the marker, it supplements the cost of the ability. So for example, if you take an ability where like in another set, it would cost like discarding 2 cards, in Umamusume, it will instead have a discard of 1 card, and it requires you to have a marker. So it essentially takes one of those 2 discards and makes it so that you need to have a marker instead. That's basically how it works. So this Narita Top Road has a climax combo that under normal circumstances would probably require a discard of 1, but in this case, it requires you to have a marker, as well as 4 or more other Umamusume characters on stage. So you need to have a full board in order to use Narita Top Road, which, you know, the Next Dream anti-damage counter requires you to have a full board anyway, so it just kind of ties that all together. And Narita Top Road will gain the ability, on cancel, you can deal 3 damage to your opponent, and if that 3 damage is canceled, you can deal 1 damage to your opponent. And so with this strategy, you will want to try to be forcing as much damage with Narita Top Road as possible. I feel like ordinarily, if you want to employ this strategy, you would want to have really, really big defensive bodies at level 2 so that your opponent is forced to crash into them, and then you can direct with Narita Top Road at level 3. But funnily enough, this trial deck has very, very weak level 2 defensive bodies, because Marvelous Sunday is only 3/5 on defense. So maybe if you want to bolster this trial deck, you'll want to add in some big beaters on defense from outside the trial deck. Okay, now getting into the rest of the cards, we have our other copies of the Climaxes, and now let's find out what our foil is. So we have Muteki, Ayabe, Machitan, Opera O, Sunday, Brian, Kitsan Black, Metro Orion, Chio, Bakshin, Satono Diamond. We're getting pretty far in. What's going on here? Ardon, Narita Top Row. Did we get a triple R? Or an OFR? Did we get an OFR in this? Did we get the Stock Soul OFR? No, we just got a normal version. Wait, no. What did we skip? Oh, we skipped Sakura Laurel. Okay, all right, I'm just like completely tripping. Okay, so we got Sakura Laurel as our foil, and just as like all of the Sakura characters, they have that Sakura Cherry Blossom pink theme going on, so that's going to be the background for Sakura Laurel's triple R card. Unfortunately, we did not get the OFR cards in our trial decks, but maybe we'll have better luck with our booster pack pulls. So we're going to do some quick cleanup and come back with the booster set. Okay, guys, so we're going to be getting into the booster sets now. Booster pack, booster boxes, you know. I didn't talk about the ratios for the booster box yet, so let's go into those right now before we get into our opening. So we have some good news and some bad news. So the good news first. For those of you who really like cracking open boxes and searching for those high rarity cards, you have a very high chance to pull an OFR or SP rarity card within these booster boxes. Within a sealed case of 24 boxes, you should be expecting for there to be 17 or 18-ish hits per case, with usually being 9 SPs and 8 or 9 OFRs. And there's even a chance that you will have a box that has both an SP and an OFR in the same box. Although from our observation, that usually only happens like once per sealed case. But that's like 17 out of 24 boxes to hit something good. So there's a lot of cool stuff that we can get from here. And there's a wide variety of SP and OFR cards as well. I think every single Climax in the set can come OFR. Or wait, what is it? Is it all of the Climaxes and then the events as well? I'm not 100%. Oh, no. There's characters. Characters can come OFR as well. I'm pretty sure. And then the SPs, there are a massive 70 different SPs that you can get. I think every single card that comes rare and higher for sure comes SP, and then there's even more on top of that from the lower rarities, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that's how that works. But there's a lot of different high rarity cards that you can look to hit. As far as the double R ratios per box go, this is the bad news. So this is a set that has 14 different double Rs, and we're getting 3 double Rs per box. Since we are replicating the old ratios, since this set came out 3 years ago, We are only going to be getting 3 double Rs. This unfortunately means that you're going to be getting significantly less than 2 playsets per case. In fact, it's trending I think 5 of each double R per case. So just keep that in mind when opening your cases and trying to fulfill playsets and things like that. So I don't have the X-Acto knife today. So I have this pair of scissors, which is unfortunately way too big. But I did find a hole here in the packaging that hopefully I can rip open real quick. Or you know what? We're gonna see if we can go with the tried and true tactic of oh, sorry box. We're gonna go with poking my thumb in that hole in the back, since I don't have the box cutter. Every sealed box of Umamusume Pretty Derby and pretty much every set that comes out recently is going to have 12 booster packs. And as far as the box toppers go, you will be getting one of 2 cards, which is either going to be Symboli Rudolph, who is another one of my favorite Uma characters, or you will get Mr. CB, which is right here. This is the Mr. CB. So you will either get Rudolph or CB. And in this one we did get Rudolph. There are also box topper, or not box topper, but as an extra bonus, you have a chance to get a pair of going first and going second cards. They come packaged together like this, and you will only get one of these randomly inserted in one of the boxes in a case. And we have Suzuka going first and Special Week going second. Suzuka always got to go first. Run way ahead of the pack. Okay, so let's get into our first pack. Every booster pack is going to be containing 8 cards with 3 commons, 2 uncommons, 1 rare, 1 climax, and then the middle slot is going to be the wild card, which can be anything. And if we have a double R or a foil, that's where that card is going to be, in the middle of the pack. Oh, by the way, we should be expecting 3 foils per box in every box. So let's get right into it. As we can see, a lot of the commons and uncommon cards are going to have this same generic background, but if you pull an SR or higher version of these cards, they will have that alternate character-specific colored background. Okay. Oh, and we immediately hit an SP. Whoa, awesome. So we have Yuki no Bijin. This is a character that is not out yet on the global version, if I remember correctly, but her support card's seeing quite a lot of play for that No Stopping Me skill. This 2-1 Yuki no Bijin, I actually am not sure what this card does, because I don't think this card sees pretty much any play at all. So let's see. All of your other characters get plus 1,000 power, and then when your other character is put into your waiting room from the stage and this card is on your back row, you can put a marker underneath this card into your waiting room and rest this in order to bring that character as rest. So this is a back row that requires inheriting a marker. Interesting. And then it uses the marker to save one of your other characters. I don't really think I've ever seen this card used. Usually with the Inspire marker cards, you want those to be usually going under a front row character such as Satono Diamond. But still, getting an SP in our first pack, very, very nice. Here we have Haru Urara, another very, very popular character. She has a pretty strong climax combo. If you want to have a combo that can sit in your back row and use turn after turn. So if you have 2 or more other Umamusume characters and you play her stock soul climax, you put the top 3 cards of your deck into your waiting room, count the number of Umamusume characters milled, and then salvage a character whose level is equal or lower than that number. So let's say you mill 3 characters out of 3 cards, you get to salvage a level 3 or lower character. And she's also a climax swapper on play, so you can play her on the turn that you intend to use the combo and just immediately swap from your other climax into hers and use her combo. So pretty strong card, and especially compared to her in-game and IRL variations where they are not exactly easy to use. Haru Urara is a pretty easy to use card in Weiss Schwarz. And shoutouts to my buddy RDR. For those of you who are in the Umamusume Western speaking community, you might know RDR-isms on social media. He is a big advocate for his Haru Urara and Silence Suzuka deck. So I'll go ahead and I'll even leave a link to his deck list down in like the comments or the description or something, so you guys can check that out. But yeah, shoutouts to RDR, good friend of the channel. We have Ines Fujin. This is a pants support, and for our first rare, we are going to have TM Opera O. This is unfortunately not a card that sees very much use. It's not only a bit difficult to use, but it also just has a card in the same exact set that does its job much better than her. So she is an early play if you have 4 or more Umamusume characters. She wants to gain a marker by inheriting something, and then by doing so, she will gain an additional 2,500 power to go up to 11k. She has great performance, which it's fitting for TM Opera O, as she is a bombastic performer. So the way great performance works is if she is front and center, as TM Opera O tends to be, and she is not reversed, all of your opponent's characters must front attack her. So they do not front attack the characters that are across from them like they normally do. They must attack TM Opera O. So you gotta have all the attention on her. And then also, when this card's battle opponent becomes reversed, you can pay 1, discard 1 to deal 1 damage to your opponent. This can be activated multiple times per turn if you have great performance online and your opponent is forced to attack into her 3 times. Okay, here we have one of the biggest commons of the set, Marozensky. If you are not a person who typically keeps your bulk, you are definitely going to want to keep this card. This is one of the best cards in the set. Marozensky, she has the effect at the beginning of your opponent's attack phase. If all of your characters are Umamusume trait, you can put the top card of your deck into your waiting room, and if that card was level 2 or lower character, then when your opponent front attacks her, you can return her back to your hand. And then her other effect is Inspire. Now, normally, when you have this first effect, your opponent can just side attack the card, and because she's a level 0, they will not suffer any soul reduction. They don't suffer any penalty, and it's like whatever. You get to keep your Marozensky. It's whatever. In other sets, this would not be very good because you just have this like 1500 card and it's just sitting there. Sure, it might live for another turn, but it's 1500 power. It's not really going to be killing anything. But the reason Marozensky is so good in Umamusume compared to other sets is because of that Inspire mechanic. Your opponent can leave you this 1500 Marozensky, and under normal circumstances, she can't kill anything. But what if you just marker her under something else and replace her with a brand new card that isn't 1500 power and can swing into your opponent's board? And that's what makes Marozensky so strong, in addition to the fact that she's yellow, which is quite an important color that you will want to be color fixing for the Akikawa event. So Marozensky, really strong card. Even as a common, this card is going for like $2 each in Japan right now, so this is definitely something that you are going to want to keep a lookout for in your packs and set them all aside because it's a very useful card, and many Uma players are probably going to be looking for it if they are singling out their decks. Tosin Jordan is one of the premier anti-change counters of the set. Pay 1, sack a character, and discard a Umamusume character in order to anti-change to bottom deck. Iowa Scarlet. Oh, I was right. Wait, Gold Ship is the 2 soul trigger brainstorm. So she doesn't. Her brainstorm effect actually has nothing to do with +2 soul triggers. It's just a normal search brainstorm. But her other effect says when your character's trigger check reveals a climax with 2 soul triggers, you can discard a character to salvage a character from your waiting room. So you can run this with Haru Urara and Silent Suzuka, as well as Sakura Bakshino also has a +2 soul climax in the set. Now that I think about it, the +2 soul climaxes are only Bakshin and Suzuka, right? So the front runners really getting those +2 soul climaxes. They gotta go fast, you know? And this is uncommon. Our rare is going to be Riko Kashimoto, a familiar face to all you Unity Cup gamers. So this is a 3-0 event. You need to have an Umamusume character on stage in order to play it, which is not going to be an issue at all. And you perform the following effects 1 time each in any order. You can draw a card, and you can discard a climax to salvage a climax from your waiting room. So it's a climax swap, but on an event, and it can only be used at level 3. Not the greatest card, especially just because it's a level 3 card. You can't use it until late in the game. You would like your climax swap to be usable at all points of the game. So like I would even play Haru Urara with no climax combo over this Riko. That's just how how crucial it is to have an early game climax swap. King Halo, Current-chan, Ines Fujin's other card, and then we have a triple R of the Dream Team, which is Silent Suzuka's Gold Bar Climax. So Silent Suzuka and Special Week are unique in that they get 2 climax combos. Wow, Mom, why do they get 2 climax combos? So you can play Special Week level 1 and level 3, and you can play Silent Suzuka level 1 and level 3 in the same deck. And so this is going to be Silent Suzuka's level 1 Gold Bar Climax. Kitasan Black. Here's the normal version of Yukino Bijin. And then our rare is going to be Tamamo Cross. This card has a combination with Ogre Cap. Those of you Cinderella Grey fans are going to be very familiar with this particular duo. But Tamamo Cross is going to be a changer into the Ogre Cap level 1 combo, which can then in turn change back into Tamamo Cross during the opponent's turn. And let's just take a quick look at some of the climaxes that we have so far. We have Meijiro McQueen's climax. This is the Ogre Cap climax. And then the Haru Urara Stock Soul. So some of the nice event arts. We're just a few packs in. We've already pulled 2 foils. Here we have Meijiro Dober. This is not the really good Meijiro Dober card. That one is a rare. This one is pretty whatever. Oh, our first double R of the box is going to be Machitan. So when this is placed on stage from hand, you mill 2. This is mandatory. You mill 2, and then if there's a climax among those cards, you choose one of your characters and give it 1500 power until end of turn. Also on play, you can discard a card to reveal the top card of your deck and salvage a character level X or lower, where X is the level of the revealed card. So this ability, this discard 1, top check, and salvage is what we commonly refer to as a Rico ability. And not a lot of players actually like this card that much because of the mandatory mill 2. A lot of people's complaints was that the mill 2 sometimes messes up their plays. Like maybe they don't want to mill through the deck and this Machitan just forces them to mill 2. And in the JP side, now that we have the Cinderella Grey set, there's actually a level 0 Tamamo Cross that has this Rico effect but with no other effect. And some of the JP players were actually celebrating the fact that it had no effect and they had another option. That being said, this is still a very solid card, and it allows you to hand fix for no stock cost, which is really nice. One of the biggest downsides of this card, rather than the mill 2 being mandatory, is, in my opinion, the fact that it doesn't have Inherit. It doesn't have Inspire. And so, just utility cards that have Inspire are just so strong. Here we have McQueen. This is a pretty interesting card. When this is placed on stage, you mill top 6 cards of your deck, and if you mill another copy of this McQueen, you draw 2 cards. Interesting card. Narita Bryan has a tap self salvage Brainstorm, gives your other center slot character 500 power. This is just an uncommon, and it's very playable. So if you want to build on a budget, just pick up 4 copies of this, and you're good to go. For our rare, we have Daiwa Scarlet. This one has a combination with Vodka, which we'll hopefully get to in a bit if we pull Vodka. Here we have Daitaku Helios. She's going to have a combination with Meijiro Palmer, but I actually think this card is more suited for standby. So Helios says she's a 2/2 with 7k base power. During your opponent's turn, she gets 1000 for each of your other Umamusume characters, so she can go up to a total of 11k on defense. When this is placed on stage from hand, if you have 4 or more other Umas, you can put the top card of your deck into stock, which I don't think is going to be very important, considering that you can bring her out with standby for free anyways. And when this card direct attacks, you can choose an Umamusume character from your waiting room and put it into stock. So when you have an 11k body on defense, your opponent's probably going to crash into her, and then once they crash, you direct attack into that lane and get some free stock. Cool card. Here's Bakshin, our +2 Soul Climax combo. Super Creek. Unfortunately, Super Creek is, her cards are not very good in this set. Her level 1 here, it's just a Beat Stick, and it gains additional power if you have a marker underneath her, and then she herself also has Inspire, but in my opinion, not a very good card. Our rare is going to be Hishiake Bono. This one is a buffer. She buffs one of your other characters on attack. and on play forces both players to go down to go down to 4 cards in memory. Agnes Digital. This is a pretty useful card. She has on play, you can put a card from hand to stock. So if you're looking for a hand to stock option, this is a pretty good card. And she also gains additional power when your other character attacks. This is not the Palmer that combos with the Daitaku Helios. Here's Air Groove. So this one is a card that does require 2 markers. So when she reverses her battle opponent, you can put 2 markers from underneath this card into your waiting room in order to blind stock 3. Not a very good card, but it's notably one of the few that requires 2 markers. Here we have 2/1 Agnes Digital. On play, draw 2. If you do, discard 2. And when this attacks, choose 2 of your other characters and give them 1500 and encore until end of the opponent's next turn. I think this card is pretty niche, but quite usable. Satono Diamond. Ice and Flash is a memory kit counter of the set. And for our next double rare, or no, that's not double rare. For our next rare, we're going to have Special Week. Special Week's Choice Climax. When this is placed on stage from hand, you can heal 1 and gain 3k. Just like Suzuka from the trial deck. And then her Climax combo with Choice is going to be on attack. If there's a marker underneath this card, you can pay 2 stock. And then if you do, you look at up to 3 cards on the top of the opponent's deck. You choose up to 1 event or character and up to 1 climax from among them and put them into clock in any order, and then put the rest in the waiting room. So this means you can essentially do up to 2 unavoidable damage to your opponent. If your opponent doesn't have a climax in their top 3, then that means that you're only doing 1 unavoidable damage since you can choose a character or event. But if they do have a climax, then that's the best case scenario for you. You get to get that climax, not only get that climax out of the way, but you also just get to send it straight to clock. So pretty strong ability, but it is RNG dependent. It's like kind of like RNG effect. It's also quite costly, costing 2 stock in addition to needing a marker. Oh, Ikuno Dictus. This is going to be a really strong card once the beginning of a new era set drops, because this is a really good card to run in the Agnes Tachyon deck. Inari 1, Nakayama Festa, Taiki Shuttle, and here's our Suzuka level 1 combo. So this is the one that goes with the Gold Bar Climax that we pulled the Triple R. This one is a bit of a complicated card. So during your turn, this gets plus 2000 power, so with the Climax, it'll be 7k. When this card attacks, if you have 4 or more other Umamusume characters, so you need to have a full board, you choose 1 Umamusume character in your waiting room and salvage it. That's the easy part. And then, if you do not have another rested character in your center stage. So basically, the idea is, let's say like you have Suzuka, and then you have 2 other characters. So when this card says, if you do not have another rested character in your center stage, it basically means, did this attack first? Basically. But this can also work if it attacks later, like if you like crash something in. Like you crashed in this, and then this attacks, you do not have another rested character in your front row. But the implication of this effect is that Suzuka, because she is the runaway character, super front runner, she wants to be going first. And so if she attacks and you have no other rested characters in your front row, she also gains the following ability until the end of the opponent's next turn. When this card gets front attacked, you put the top card of your deck into your waiting room, and if that card is a level 2 or lower character, you get to put her back into your hand to go again next turn. And so yeah, that's basically the idea behind this effect. But there is actually some cool tech that you can do with this particular Suzuka that would allow you to resolve more than one of this effect. It is actually, now that I think about it, it is really, really quite difficult to do. But basically what you would have to do is you would have to attack with Suzuka first, and then she would have to crash. And then, actually, no, it's not that difficult. Yeah, so if you attack with Suzuka first, and then she crashes, and you attack with another Suzuka, and then you don't have any rested characters in your front row, so you would allow you to do multiple Suzuka combos, and then you use Satono Diamond Clean Cut. We'll just pretend this is Satono Diamond. You run over one of your opponent's characters, and then use Satono Diamond's effect to put the Silent Suzuka that got reversed back into rest position. So it'll allow it to keep the effect, and then you have 2 Silent Suzukas that both have that bonus effect. Yeah, it's a little bit weird, but that is how you can get multiple Silent Suzuka combos to get their bonus effect within a single turn. Okay, back to pack opening. Ooh, Tazuna. This is a really, really strong card, actually. So, it forces both players to put the top 3 cards of their deck into their waiting room. And then if you milled more level 1 or lower characters than your opponent milled level 0 characters, you get to draw a card. And then this card always will just go to stock. So at worst, this is going to be a 1-hand to 1-stock conversion, but also allows you to potentially draw a card and have this replace itself. This card is particularly good in the Rice Shower finisher deck and Special Week finisher decks, because those ones, they really have the opponents having, or they really like top deck knowledge, or like knowing the opponent's ratio of cards in your deck. For example, with Special Week, if you play Tazuna and then your opponent does not mill any climaxes, then there's a pretty high chance that they're going to have a climax in the top card of their deck for you to use Special Week's climax combo and send multiple cards to clock. In the Rice Shower deck, there is a Mihono Bourbon that lets you look at the top cards of your opponent's deck. If you do not see a climax there, you can just proceed with your attacks. But if you do see a climax within your opponent's top 2, you can play Tazuna, force them to mill it, and then go into your attacks, getting that climax out of the way. So Tazuna, just a really, really good card. And our next double R is going to be Mr. CB. This is a card that when it first got revealed, I thought it was going to be really, really good. So she's an early play healer with no condition to early play. Literally, she just gets -1 level in your hand. However, this comes with the downside that if you're at level 2 or lower and you play Mr. CB, you have to rest 2 of your characters, or she just blows up. She just goes straight to your waiting room. And so I figured when this card got revealed, it would be pretty easy to just use her to rest like 1 back row and then 1 character with inheritance, and then you can inherit that card that was in your front row under something, and then you just have Mr. CB early play healer, and she's an 11k early play healer, so apart from the downside, she's a pretty solid card. But unfortunately, this card basically just never really caught on. Uma was actually able to just sustain quite well throughout the game off of just compression and just canceling well and having a lot of deck control, and so they didn't really need Mr. CB, and then they went into more of an hyper-offensive endgame with cards like Kuren-chan and Akikawa event. So Mr. CB never really saw any use, unfortunately. But it's a pretty decent card if you can play around the fact that you need to rest 2 characters. Medro Orion is a solid card to play in like Medro-themed decks, something with like Medro McQueen level 1, and like Narita Top Road level 3, potentially. Or Medro Palmer level 3, because those ones both have Pants Climaxes for their level 3 combos. Her effect is on play from hand, or when she's sent from stage to waiting room, you can discard a Pants Climax in order to look at up to 5 and add an Umamusume character from among them to your hand and send the rest to waiting room. So it gives you a lot of deck speed, allows you to get those extra Pants Climaxes out of your hand. And she also has Inspire for if you need that for your more important cards, like McQueen level 1 combo. Our rare is going to be Asta and Machan Climax Swap. This is going to be the primary Climax Swap for the set. She has, when this card is in the center slot front row, she gets plus 1,000 power, bringing her up to 3k, and then she has just a normal on-play pay 1 Climax Swap ability. On to our next one. You know, Rico's other event, so she has this level 1 event as well as a level 3. This one has the art from her rare support card, whereas this one was from the SSR. Choose one of the following effects and perform it. You can either salvage a character or you can search your deck for a character. So, you know, she gotta get those good Umas on her team. Here we have Bourbon. This one, not particularly exciting, but it does have Inspire. And our third foil of the box is going to be Educandor Pasa. This one is a 1/0, I believe this was a stock bomb. Yeah, cost 0 stock bomb. And on play, reveal the top card of your deck. If it is an Uma character, this gets plus 1 soul until the end of the turn. And she herself also has a soul trigger, so you can pick her up off of choice climaxes. Nishino Flower, Admire Vega. Oh, this is one of the This is one of the uncommons that has an SP. You can tell if a card has an SP or not, by the way, based on whether or not it has this special colored background. So, for example, like Nishino Flower, Kishi Amazon, these ones all have SPs, I'm pretty sure. I'm like almost certain. Or at least like a good number of these, I think, have SPs. Admire Vega for sure has an SP. I'm 100% sure that this card has an SP. Marazensky is going to be our rare. This one says, when this is placed on... Oh, no. I'm thinking El Contrapasa. During the turn, this card is placed on stage from hand. When her damage is cancelled, you mill 1 and deal damage to your opponent equal to the level of the card you milled plus 1. And when this attacks, you choose one of your other Uma characters and give it 2,000 power until end of turn. Okay. Biko, Bamboo Memory, Seiyun Sky, Machifuku, Mejuro Bright. Okay, so this is one of the cards that is on the restriction list alongside Akikawa and the Trial Deck Nice Nature. So this card says, when this is placed on stage from hand, if you have 2 or more other Umamusume characters, you can discard 2 cards to draw 2 cards. So this is just an extremely strong hand filtering ability, allowing you to get unneeded cards out of your hand, potentially draw into like even climaxes. And then this also has Inspire. So, 3k attacker? Nope. I'm just going to shove this underneath one of my other characters and just immediately go into some power plays. Put this underneath like a Satono Diamond or something like that. So the fact that this card is also on the same color as Satono Diamond is really, really powerful. It allows it to be a really, really easy to use level 1 line overall. And so yeah, so this is one of the cards that is restricted to use in Japan right now. Gold City is the card that, in my opinion, is just a much better TM Opera O. So TM Opera O has great performance, but Gold City is a 2-1 with 2,500 power. If you have 2 or more other Umamusume characters, she goes all the way up to 10-5, and then when she's placed on stage from hand, until the end of the opponent's next turn, she gains great performance, and during the opponent's turn, an additional 2k power. So she goes up to 12-5, even higher than TM Opera O, even though it's just for 1 turn cycle. Being able to gain additional advantage off of using a great performance ability is really, really strong. And this Gold City comes with a lot fewer conditions and like stipulations in order to use it. Our rare is going to be Winning Ticket. Winning Ticket is a standby combo. I believe we did already pull Winning Ticket's standby earlier. I think it's this one. No, it's not this one. This one's Taishin's. Okay, I guess we didn't pull it. But this is a standby combo where, on reverse, you mill the top card of your deck, and if it's an Umamusume character, return it to your hand, and you do it twice. So this potentially allows you to get 2 cards off of just a single combo, which is quite strong. Even though they are random cards off the top, if you run like a standby character that has Hand Encore, you can just use those random cards off of the top as fuel for those Hand Encore abilities and keep your characters around for future turns. Oh, here's Medro Palmer. We might as well talk about this card real quick. I think this is a pretty cheeky card. It's not amazing, but it's pretty fun. So we'll bring out Helios as well. So this Palmer says, when she's placed on stage from hand, you can choose one of 2 abilities if you have another Umamusume character. You can either heal 1, or you can pay 1 to draw up to 1 card, and then summon Daitaku Helios from your hand to this stage. And then if Helios is played into a full board, this does allow you to use that extra ability to put the top card of your deck into your stock. And Palmer's Climax combo is with a Pants Climax, as I mentioned earlier, on the Ryan card. You discard a card if you have a full board of 4 or more other Umamusume characters. You have a full board. You can discard a card as cost in order to choose one of your opponent's characters anywhere on stage, so even the back row, and put it on top of your opponent's deck. So this can be used to get rid of your opponent's important utility cards that they might need later. But it can also be used with Daitaku Helios. If you take one of their front row characters and put it on top of their deck, it opens up the lane for Daitaku Helios to do a direct attack and then get that bonus stock. And then maybe you can combo that into using, for example, the 2-3 anti-damage event from the Race 2 trial deck. You can do something like that. Additionally, because all of the Medro Palmers are going to be stacking a bunch of the opponent's characters on top of the deck, it makes it really easy to land that first attack. And Palmer's Climax combo notably even works in the back row. So you could do a really silly board of like 4 Palmers and 1 Helios. You could stack 4 cards from your opponent's board on top of their deck, including both their back row, and then you direct attack with Helios for 4, and it's guaranteed to stick, and you get a bonus stock out of it. So that's like, it's a really cheeky play, but it's a pretty fun deck, and I think if you really love this pair of characters, I think this is definitely the kind of deck that you would want to play, because it's really goofy and it really fits their style. Okay, Doto, Tachyon. Unfortunately, Tachyon's card's not super useful until the beginning of a new era deck comes out. Then Tachyon really becomes a force to be reckoned with a brand new deck archetype that is introduced in that set. This card is it's like a pretty niche card. When this is placed on stage from hand, you can look at up to 2 cards from the top of your deck and then put them back in the same order. And then if you want, you have the option to shuffle the deck afterwards. And then on play, she gains 1500 power. A little bit of a strange effect, but like if you like look at top and you see like 2 climaxes, you can be like, no, I do not want to trigger those, and you can shuffle your deck. Final pack of the first box. We have our 3rd double rare, Narita Brian. This is going to be a standby card. So Climax combo is on attack, you can pay 1, discard 1 to burn 3. And then if this card is in your front row, all of your Umamusume characters, including herself, gets plus 1500 power. So in the standby deck at level 2, you want to be bringing out a whole bunch of Narita Bryans in order to buff up your board and be really big. It's a really simple strategy, but it's simple yet effective. Kawakami Princess. This card is just huge for no reason. If you have 2 or more other Umamusume characters, she gets plus 6k, and then if she has a marker, she's 14k. So even though, unlike abilities like Satono Diamond, where those get like additional cards for using Inspire, Kawakami Princess just gets really, really big. But I think 14k is just like so big that like it might actually be worth putting the marker underneath her in certain metagames just to combat high power boards with like standby. Mr. CB's uncommon, and our final rare of the box is going to be a huge one. This is easily going to be the most sought after rare from the set, Sakura Chiono O's Brainstorm. She's a tap self-salvage Brainstorm. She cannot be chosen by opponent's effects, and most importantly, she has Inspire. So once you are done using her effect, you just shove her underneath one of your characters. For example, like you go into your finisher turn with like Kurin-chan at level 3, and you've just had these Sakura Chionos just sitting in your back row the entire game. It's like, yeah, we're just going to use them for inheritance. Very cool. So this is an extremely strong card, and it's only going to get better as Umamusume gets more releases, and there are more ways to utilize this card as an Inspire target. So that is going to conclude our first box. Hopefully we can pull another SP in our second box. At the very least, I hope we just don't pull a dud in our second box, since we do have a very high chance of pulling something nice. So we'll do some quick cleanup, and we'll be right back with box number 2. Okay, there we go. All right. The scissors did come in clutch after all. Box number 2, here we go. Can we get Mr. CB? So we had one of each. Yep, Mr. CB in our second box. And what did this one do? On play heal. When this reverses a battle opponent, you can pay 3, ditch 1, deal 2, and then deal 2 damage, and then look at the top card of your deck, and either leave it on top or put it into the bottom of your deck. Okay. Alright. Box 2. SP Doko. Serious Symboli. This is another character that is not yet out on Global, but she has cards, and I'm sure she's a familiar face to those of you who have seen the Cinderella Grey anime, as she does appear there. She actually has such a funny card in the Cinderella Grey set, which not currently announced for English, but it is out in JP, came out earlier this year. And she has a really, really funny card that's very, very flavored to what she did in the Cinderella Grey anime, when she's like dancing around in the paddock and she like crashes into 2 of the other Umas. And her Weiss Schwarz card is she is a double bottom deck, double bottom deck Adachi. So very, very funny card. All right, here we have Akikawa, the third card on the restriction list on the JP side. So this card is another common card alongside Marzensky that you're going to want to look out for in your packs. So set all of your copies of those two cards aside for sure. So this Akikawa event says, if you have 2 or less memory, put this card into your memory. So it just goes over here. And then while it's in memory, you can use one of 3 effects depending on how many Akikawas you put from your memory back into your waiting room. So the first one is you can put 1 copy back in order to salvage a character. So this essentially allows this to just send itself to memory and immediately put in the waiting room, salvage a character of your choice. That's already a really strong baseline. You can put 2 copies of Akikawa back from your memory back into your waiting room in order to deal 2 damage to your opponent. Or you can put 3 copies back to deal 3 damage to your opponent and then give 3k power to one of your characters. You're pretty much almost never going to be using that third effect, as it is just more efficient to just do like a burn 2 and get 1 salvage if you have 3 copies of Akikawa. So the reason this card is so strong is because it essentially allows you, it does 2 main things. Like apart from the obvious, apart from allowing you to like salvage and deal extra damage. So it does 2 things for the deck that is really, really strong. The first one is not super intuitive. It basically allows you to increase your hand size limit. In Weiss Schwarz, we have a hand size limit of 7 cards that you have to discard down to 7 at the end of the turn, right? But what if you have 7 cards in hand and you have like 2 copies of Akikawa in memory? Since those 2 Akikawas can put themselves back into memory to salvage more cards, it's kind of like you have 9 cards in your hand total, right? You have like the 7 plus 2. It's like you have 9 cards. Additionally, what it allows you to do is it allows you to increase the ceiling of your top end. So for characters that don't have the strongest ceilings for their top end, like Curran-chan, which is a very, very powerful finisher, Akikawa allows you to increase the total amount of damage that you're able to do during that finisher turn using the extra resources that you've accumulated throughout the turn. So Curran-chan, her ability doesn't actually require very many resources. In fact, she even like gains you resources when you play her. And so you're going to have a lot of extra cards laying around. And so if you can use those extra cards laying around on things like Akikawa or like Daiwa Scarlet and Vodka Package, which we will hopefully get to later in the pack opening, then that allows the end game, which is normally pretty middle of the road, to become extremely lethal. And so for that reason, Akikawa, alongside Nice Nature and Medjuro Bright, 2 of the cards that we've already looked at in this box opening, are restricted. And when you are building a deck in the JP version, you can only choose one of those 3 to include in your deck. Obviously, in the English version right now, you can run all 3, and I would definitely recommend you run all 3 in your deck. They are all very, very strong cards. Okay, Sweep Tosho. Oh, we have an OFR. So this is going to be our hit for this pack. The OFR TM Opera O, a card that we have already looked at. Let's go ahead and get a sleeve on this. TM Opera O, Bodyguard. El Condor Pasa. This one allows you to summon a card off the top of your deck, I believe. During your main phase, when this card is placed on stage from hand, this gets 2k powered until the end of turn, and then reveal the top card of your deck. If it's an Uma character, just summon it straight to the stage. And then when this attacks, if there's a marker underneath this card and you have another Uma character, you can discard 1 to put the bottom 4 cards of the opponent's deck into waiting room and deal damage equal to the number of climaxes milled. So this is an effect that would normally, in any other set, it would require 2 discards, but because this is Umamusume, instead it requires 1 marker and 1 discard. Simbali Rudolph. This is a level assist that also bonds to a Tokai Teo stock swap. And we got the regular TM Opera O in the same. Man, TM Opera O really wants us to look at her today. That is very in TM Opera O style. Tazuna, Aston Machan, Nishino Flower, Doto, Kawakami Princess, CB, and Rico. I think these are the same 2 first rares that we opened from the last box, and we pulled our SP/OFR hit from the first pack in the last box as well. Xenorob Roy, Oh, Bijin. Okay, this is another common that you will want to look out for. So Marzensky plus Akikawa plus Yukino Bijin. These are all really, really strong commons. Bijin says on play from hand, you can perform the following action 2 times. Look at the top card of your deck, and you can either leave it there or put it into your waiting room. And so this is a really nice ability to use in conjunction with Brainstorms because you can play her, look at top card, oh, it's not a climax, put it into waiting room. Look at top card, oh, it's not a climax, put it into waiting room. And now I will brainstorm, and you essentially have a 6-card brainstorm as a result of that. You can also use this in combination with Curran-chan level 3. Curran says, on play, you look at up to X cards from the top of your deck, where X is the number of characters you have on stage, and you can add one of them to your hand. And so Yukino Bijin, by playing Yukino first, it allows you to see through the top cards of your deck if the card that you want is there, and you can add it to your hand if you see it. So for example, in the late game, if you want to dig for a whole bunch of copies of Akikawa, look at top card. If it's Akikawa, you leave it there, you play Curran-chan, you add Akikawa to your hand. If it's not, you just keep milling the top card of your deck and you keep digging. So really, really good effect in combination with those other cards. And just like every other great level 0 character in Umamusume, this card has Inspire. So you can go ahead and throw this underneath your characters like Curran-chan in order to turn on their abilities. And it means that you don't have to have this 1500 little, like, can't really kill anything sitting on your board. Twin Turbo, one of the star side characters from Umamusume Season 2. And she has a very, very flavorful effect, considering that she is Twin Turbo. At the beginning of your climax phase, if this card is in your front row, you get to choose up to 2 of your characters, and those characters get the following ability until end of turn. When this card attacks, during that attack, you will trigger twice, and then put the top card of your stock into waiting room after the 2 triggers. So very, very Twin Turbo of her in order to allow your characters to twin drive. Here we have the uncommon Tiamat Pro. Measuro Ardon. This is a card that I think is a bit controversial. I personally am not a fan of this card, but it's a 1/0 back row that wants you to have a marker underneath her. So you can rest her to give 1500 power. That's just her normal ability. And then her other effect says, while she has a marker underneath it, characters in front of her gain 500 power, and the effect at the beginning of your encore step, if you do not have another rested character in your center stage, you can pay 1 in order to rest that character. Basically, this translates to, did your opponent kill your entire front row? If so, you can pay 1 to save one of them. And I don't think it's a very efficient use of a marker, personally. You still have to pay 1 to even save the character. Yeah, I'm just not a really huge fan of the card. I have seen some JP players play this card, but I'm not personally a big fan. I would rather just have like 2 brainstorms in my back row and use those to get advantage. Here we have Sweep Tosho. This is a card that I mentioned earlier on in the video. This gives all of your other characters 1000 power. You can rest this to look at the top 2 cards of your deck and put them back on top in any order. And then she has Inspire, and because she's a level 2 character with Inspire, when you put her underneath one of your other characters, you actually get to blind stock 1. And so this allows you to refund the stock that you used to put her into play. Now, a strat that I have seen some JP players using pretty recently, actually, I can't believe I haven't seen people try this up to this point, is that they use this Sweep Tosho in standby decks. And so the idea is, because she's a 2/1 global 1k, that fits quite well into the standby archetype, making your characters really big. You can rest this character to look at the top 2 cards of your deck and make sure that you're not triggering a standby on the first attack. But also, with that Inspire ability, if you need an extra stock at any point, you just play any character, you put Sweep Tosho underneath that character, you get a stock it's not even a refund, you're actually just +1 stock, because if you standby this out, you're not even paying 1 stock to put her into play. So you're just getting a bonus stock. And then additionally, it will free up that slot where the Sweep Tosho used to be in your back row, and you can now standby there. So I think that's a really, really interesting and unique way to use this card. And I'm really surprised that I didn't see very many people using that strategy up until very recently. So I'm a big fan of the way that they were using this card. I think those standby players, they were even running like 4 copies of this Sweep Tosho in their deck. Very unique approach. Okay, Hishiake Bono, another rare that we've already pulled. Gold City, Air Shakur, Machitan? Uh-oh. I don't like where this is going. Daiwa, another card we've already pulled. Hello? There are 14 double rares in this set, and I have pulled one dupe. Oh, wait, what? Oh my god, we got the box that has the SP and the OFR in it. Whoa, oh, okay, so we got Nakayama Festa for an SP. So this is, I don't actually know what this card does off the top of my head. This is a level 0. It says when this is placed on stage from hand, reveal the top card of your deck. And if it's an Uma, this gets plus 2k, so it can swing for 4k. When this is placed on stage from hand, put the top 2 cards of your deck into waiting room. If there's a climax among those cards, you get to choose an opponent's front row character and make it lose 1,000 power. Okay, so not the most notable card. It doesn't really have a very clear-cut use case. I think that the main idea behind this Nakayama Festa is she has like a gamble effect. Nakayama Festa is known as a gambling character, and so she has 2 effects that both rely on like revealing the top card of your deck or milling the top 2 cards of your deck in order to try to find some sort of specific result and gain some sort of benefit out of it. I think that's a pretty nice flavor effect for Nakayama Festa, but in terms of playability of the card, it's not super great. But that's crazy that in the 2 boxes that we opened, we got 2 SPs and the OFR in just 2 boxes. Wow. Okay. Moving on with the rest of the pack. So we have Air Groove. On play and on attack, give 1,500 to one of your characters. It's a pretty strong effect. It just doesn't see a whole lot of use. Tokai Teo. So this one is a pretty interesting card. We've seen this effect a few times in Umamusume, both in this set and in the Beginning of a New Era set. So Tokai Teo has this very interesting ability that says during the turn that this is placed on stage from hand, at the end of the turn, you can choose one Umamusume character in your front row and one Umamusume character in your back row and swap them. And so the idea behind this card, this is actually another really flavor ability, in my opinion, in terms of like Season 2. I'm not going to get too into it, but basically the idea of this card is that you want... Here, let me just grab, like, where's the Tono Diamond? So the idea behind this card is... Here's Tono Diamond. Let me grab some card that has... Oh, something just dropped. And some card that has... that does not have Inspire. And here, a card that has Inspire. So basically, the idea behind this ability is you can play Tokai Teo. She can be either in your front row or back row, it doesn't matter. But you play her alongside a character that has some sort of big benefit from having a marker. For example, Satono Diamond. She's able to get an additional card if you climax combo while you have a marker underneath her. So let's say I play Tokai Teo to my back row. At the end of the turn, after I've used my Satono Diamond to climax combo and get 2 cards, you can then swap the Tokai Teo with the Satono Diamond, and it allows you to keep the Satono Diamond for a future turn and allow her to get double value out of her climax combo again, without needing to marker a new card, though. So you're gaining even more value than what you would normally get. So that's the sort of way that you're supposed to use Tokai Teo. She also gains power on play, 1,000 times the number of Umamusume characters you mill from the top 2. So this allows her to potentially swing for 3,500 power. So it's a unique card, for sure. Doesn't see a whole lot of play. Usually, you can use like the Satono Diamond Double R to produce pretty much the same effect. Except instead of swapping 2 characters, you use Satono Diamond's effect to move your character to the back row and keep it around for next turn. Okay. Our next rare. Guys, these rares are looking real familiar. Mayano Top Gun. This is another level 0 climax combo, kind of like Haru Urara, where when you play the climax, you get to look at up to 3 cards and add one of them to your hand, add an Umamusume character from them to your hand, and send the rest to waiting room. And she also has Inspire, which I think is a little bit weird, considering that Top Gun is a climax combo herself. Usually, when you have a climax combo like this, you want to keep it around for multiple turns and not inherit it into other characters. But I guess it could be useful when you hit level 3. If you play a level 3 with her that requires a marker, then you can marker the Mayano Top Gun underneath that finisher. Here's Manhattan Cafe, one of Mike's favorite Umas. Speaking of favorite Umas, Tokai Teo is Simu's favorite Uma. So now you guys know all 3 of our favorite Umas, and mine is Dober. Speaking of which, we have not pulled Dober's rare yet. We have just pulled the same rares as the last box. Like, can we please pull something new, please? Oh no. CB again. Oh no. Aston Machan again. Hello? Can I pull some new cards, please? I want to talk about some more cards. And then for our final foil of the pack, we're going to pull another Nakayama Festa. 2-1. During your turn, this gets plus 1,000 for each of your other Uma characters. When this card's battle opponent becomes reversed, or this card becomes reversed, whichever characters got reversed cannot encore that turn. Okay. Oh no. Another Maruzensky. Hold on. Where's the cards from the first box? What haven't I pulled yet? Winning Ticket, Tachyon, Chiono. Please don't be Winning Ticket, Tachyon, and Chiono in these last 3 packs, please. And then what was my last double rare? My last double rare was Narita Bryan. Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh no, it's Tachyon. Oh no. Don't be Winning Ticket or Chio, please. Oh no, it's Winning Ticket. Oh, okay. I actually shouldn't complain about this one being Chiono if it is, because Chiono is a very good card, but like, man, come on. All right, just show me the Chio. All right, yep, Chio. Exact same rares across 2 boxes. Oh no, Narita Bryan again. Oh my god, I pulled the exact same double rares and rares in both boxes, bro. All right, we're gonna have to come back and talk about all the double rares that we missed and some of the rares that we missed as well. There's a lot to talk about still, so whoo, this is gonna be a long one. All right, we're gonna do some quick cleanup and we'll be right back with the rest of those cards. Okay, guys, we're back, and so I was looking through the playset to see if there were cards that I wanted to talk about, and turns out when you pull the exact same 12 double R or the exact same 12 rares in 2 boxes, this happens. So just sit tight. We're gonna be going through a Pokewrap's worth of Uma cards in the rares and higher that I still want to talk about, but we'll try to go relatively quick through these and not talk too much. So let's just start. We're gonna go from yellow to green to red to blue, and we'll just try to keep this within a timely manner since this video is already quite long. Smart Falcon is going to be the drop search of the set. She also has on play, you can draw 1, discard 1. She doesn't have the Inspire mechanic, but the double utility still makes her quite useful as a card to include in your deck, alongside the salvage offered by Grass Wonder, who we have right here. I've already talked about this card quite a bit throughout the video, but just wanted to reiterate that Grass Wonder is a pretty popular utility card because of her Inspire ability. Another Brainstorm option that you have if you want to be more on the budget side. So you have the Narita Bryan Brainstorm, which is a budget option, but you also have Air Shakur. And this one is on play. You can top check and leave it on top or send it to Waiting Room, which allows her to essentially be a 5-card Brainstorm for herself. And then she's a salvage Brainstorm just like Chiono and Narita Bryan. Chiono, we're expecting to be a pretty expensive card, like significantly more than some of the bad double Rs. So if you want a more budget option, you have between Air Shakur and Narita Bryan. Saving Sky is a level 1 combo that you could run for an 8-choice deck. She has a Soul Trigger, of course, like a Choice Climax combo should in the year 2023 or later. Her Climax combo says when she reverses her battle opponent, you can look at up to 3 cards on top of your deck, choose up to 1 card from among them, which can be any card. It can be an event or climax. Add it to your hand and send the rest to Waiting Room. And then at the end of the turn, or at the beginning of the Encore step, during the turn that this was placed on stage from hand, you can pay 1 stock to draw up to 2 cards and discard 2 cards. I have actually seen this card used even in decks that don't run its Climax combo, just for that extra hand fix utility, which I think is pretty worth mentioning when I bring this card up. Fine Motion is going to be another Brainstorm that you can splash into pretty much any deck. She is a top check 3 Brainstorm, and then she also has a bonus effect that says when you play a Climax, you can discard a card and then reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. Your opponent chooses one character or event from among them to put into your hand and send the rest to Waiting Room. So your opponent does get to pick, but if you have cards that aren't doing anything in your hand anyway, Fine Mo is a really great way to get those out of your hand, and hopefully your opponent gives you something a little bit more useful. So we pulled Daiwa earlier in the box opening, but we didn't get to look at Vodka, so these 2 cards have a combination together. So they are both changers into each other. You can change by bouncing one of them back into your hand to play the other one from your hand to that slot. The Daiwa Scarlet burns 1 on play, while Vodka heals 1 on play, and then Daiwa prevents your opponent from using events during this card's battle, while Vodka prevents the opponents from using backups during this card's battle. Now, what's really cool about these 2 is that if you have multiples of them, you can chain them back and forth. So, like, let's say, for example, I have a Daiwa on my board and a Daiwa and a Vodka on my board. So what you can do is you can bounce back the Vodka to play the Daiwa, burn 1, and then you can bounce back the Daiwa to play the Vodka that you just put back in your hand to heal 1. So you can chain them back and forth, and that's just a really, really interesting way to play your level 3 game. You can even bring these out off of standby in order to start doing all these chain shenanigans a lot earlier than normal. So Daiwa Vodka is a pretty nice level 3 pairing, and they're also a really nice way to cap out your endgame in a Current-chan deck, which is going to be pretty much like the meta version of Umamusume. Current-chan is our top end. When this card is placed on stage from hand, you can look at up to X cards from the top of your deck, choose up to 1 card from among them, add it to your hand, and send the rest to Waiting Room. And X is going to equal the number of your Uma characters, including herself. Now, what's really cool about this effect is that you can actually use it before you use Inspire and give her a marker. So let's say you have 4 characters on your board and one of them is an Inspire. So like one of them's Grass Wonder. So you play Current-chan, and now you use the top check X ability where X is currently 5. So you look at up to 5 cards from the top of your deck, add one of them to your hand, and then after you do that, then you Inspire the marker underneath her. Now, Current does need the marker for her Climax combo, which is on a gold bar. It says, on attack, you can discard 1 to deal 1 damage to your opponent, and then look at the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck, choose up to 2 of them from among them, send them to Waiting Room, and leave the rest on top. So this essentially is a burn 1, and if your opponent has Climaxes in the top 2, it's like additional burn 1s. So the damage ceiling is actually not that high because it's only the only real damage that you're dealing is a burn 1 plus swing, but it's a really good way to get additional Climaxes out of the top cards of your opponent's deck. In order to increase that ceiling, you're going to want to combine Current-chan with cards like the Akikawa event or the Daiwa Vodka package, which is typically run at like 1 copies each. Maybe sometimes you'll see like 2 Daiwas. But yeah, that is pretty much how the Current-chan endgame is going to go. Moving on to red, we have Tamamo and Ogre Cap. So Ogre Cap is going to be a Climax combo that lets you look at up to 4 cards from the top of your deck and add a character from among them to your hand. Kind of similar to like Sotono Diamond, but you know, like a much more normal, fair version. And then at the start of the Encore step, if this card is in your front row, you can send this card to Waiting Room in order to change into the Tamamo Cross. And this can actually work even if Ogre Cap crashes. It doesn't specify that Ogre Cap needs to be rested. You can just even crash Ogre Cap and have her change into Tamamo and still have a body for your opponent to have to attack into. Tamamo Cross says, when your opponent front attacks into her, you can look at the top card of your deck and you can either leave it on top or send it to Waiting Room, allowing you to more easily dig towards those cancels. And then she has Hand Encore, and then during your turn, you can change her back into Ogre Cap, just as an act ability. Our next rare is going to be Mihono Bourbon, which is going to kind of just like tangent us into the Rice Shower level 3, which is a double R. We might as well talk about this right now. So the Rice Shower is a level 3 healer, and her Climax combo is with a Door Climax. On reverse of the battle opponent, you can deal 1 damage to your opponent. This does not have a cost. This is free. And then if there is a marker underneath Rice Shower, you can additionally pay 2 and discard a card to deal an additional 3 damage to your opponent. And the way that Rice Shower is going to be working with Bourbon, For those of you who have watched season 2 of the anime, I'm sure you're very aware of the interactions between these two. These two are very cute together, and they even have they're even together on the climax art. Where's the climax? I'll just go ahead and pull this out real quick. If I can find it, it's here somewhere. I should have done this first. Here we go. Bourbon and Rice Shower. Okay, so Rice Shower is going to have that on reverse combo, and so that is susceptible to interaction from your opponent, but Bourbon is going to put a stop to that. So Bourbon says, when you play Rice Shower onto the stage from your hand, you can look at up to 2 cards from the top of your opponent's deck, put them back on top in their original order, and then you give Rice Shower an additional 1000 power and anti-backup during that battle. So this makes it so that Rice Shower cannot be stopped by backups. Your opponent can still use effects like JC for reverse prevention or like an event counter, but backups are completely out of the question. Additionally, Bourbon has an Inspire ability, allowing you to put her underneath Rice Shower while also refunding 1 stock. Typically, what you're actually going to want to do, though, is if you're playing multiple copies of Rice Shower, you're going to want to inherit 1 Bourbon and like something else. So the thing about Bourbon's effect, where when you play a Rice Shower, you get to top check 2 and give 1k anti-backup, that's not once per turn. So what you actually want to do is you want to play something else with Inspire, play your first Rice Shower, inherit the other thing, and then when you play your second Rice Shower, then you want to inherit the Mihono Bourbon after you've done the top check twice. And so the reason that you might want to do the top check multiple times in 1 turn is something I mentioned earlier in the video, the Tazuna level 2 event. So when you look at the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck with Mihono Bourbon, if you see climaxes there, then you can use the Tazuna event to force your opponent to mill that climax. And then after you've done that, then you play another Rice Shower, you top check 2 again. If you have another Tazuna in your hand, yeah, let's go. Let's mill the climax again. And then you just make your opponent lose all their climaxes for fun. So that is the way you typically will want to be playing this combination of cards. Rice Shower is a little bit on the expensive side in terms of like how much her combo actually costs to resolve. So it's hard to resolve 3 copies at full power, but the fact that it does have a free component with just that free burn 1 is quite nice as well. You don't even need the marker to do the free burn 1. So what you can actually do is you can play like Bourbon, inherit something else, or not Bourbon, Rice Shower, inherit something else, Rice Shower, inherit Bourbon, and then just a vanilla Rice Shower with no marker, and then you can just do that. Our next rare is going to be Tokai Teo. This is a stock swap. This is pretty much a card that you're going to want to be trying to run in pretty much any deck, and typically the card that you splash for red in order to enable Tokai Teo is going to be the Asen Machan Climax swap. It's another reason that this Asen Machan just finds her way into pretty much every deck, just like she finds her way into every single camera shot of Season 3. And you're going to want to pretty much utilize Tokai Teo as one of your endgame options. You can kind of use it in conjunction with the Mihono Bourbon in the same way you can use Tazuna, where if you use Mihono Bourbon and you see climaxes in the top card of your opponent's deck, then you want to use Tokai Teo to get rid of those climaxes. Outside of a Rice Shower deck, you just want to use Tokai Teo's ability whenever your opponent is in a position where it looks like they are going to get a lot of guaranteed cancels based on how many climaxes they still have in their deck versus how many total cards are still in their deck. So just use this to get those climaxes out of the way. For blue, we have Dober, my favorite character, and this is also one of my favorite cards. I'm a really big fan of this card as of late. So during your turn, if you have another Umamusume character, she gets plus 3k, go up to 6k power. During the turn this card is placed on stage from hand, when this attacks and she has a marker, you can salvage any Umamusume character from your waiting room. And she herself also has Inspire. So this is a very flexible card. She can serve as an Inspire target for some of your other characters like Satono Diamond. But if you do not have Satono Diamond, or maybe you don't have her Climax, you can use Mejiro Dober as a way to hand fix by taking a card that is not as useful, like a used up Grass Wonder, put her underneath the Mejiro Dober, use Dober as a 6k attacker while also allowing you to grab specific characters from your waiting room to use later on in the game. I also think that even on turns where you do have Satono Diamond combo, I think Dober is really nice to have alongside Satono Diamonds. I actually think that if you are not tri-fielding Satono Diamond combo, then if you put a marker under something, I think it's better to put a marker under Medjuro Dober than it is to put a marker under Satono Diamond, because Dober will allow you to guaranteed cherry pick a specific card from your waiting room, whereas Satono Diamond just allows you to get another card from your top 5. So really, really strong card. Big fan of this card, and big fan of the character as well. And our final... Wait, this is double rare. How did this get over here? Gold ship goes where gold ship pleases. Okay, anyways. We can now talk about... Am I missing a double rare somewhere? Okay, we found it. I forgot Symboli Rudolph was a double R. That's my bad. Okay. Now we talked about all the rares. Now we can talk about the double Rs, finally. So, Grass Wonder is going to be our second yellow double R after Mr. CB that we pulled already. So this card says it's a Ricky effect. When this is placed on stage from hand, you can pay 1 and clock the top card of your deck in order to search your deck for a level 1 or lower character. And then also on play, you can rearrange the top 2 cards of your deck. So this is ordinarily a Ricky effect would be a really, really strong card to run at like 3 or 4 copies in pretty much every deck. But funnily enough, just because of the Inspire mechanic being so high priority within the Umamusume set specifically, this card actually only sees play usually at around 2 copies in like the meta version of the deck. Obviously, like you can still run 3 or 4. It's just that like space is quite tight with all of the important Inspire cards you want to run. And yeah, usually you only really ever need to see the 1 copy and then you're just chilling. There are also just other really, really strong double Rs that you would want to run as well. For green, we have Familiar Face, Trackblazer Gamers, Narita Top Road. So this card is a carbon copy of the Cocutus Chaser from Overlord / Nazarick Volume 2. So if all of your characters are Umamusume trait, this becomes 2500 base power. During the opponent's turn, if you have another Umamusume character, this gets plus 1500, bringing it up to 4k on defense, very strong defense. And it's also a chaser, so this could be a very nice level 0 plussing option. But unfortunately it doesn't have Inspire, and it also doesn't contribute to any of the Inspire game plan sort of play patterns. It's just a big defensive wall. Our other double R for green is going to be Manhattan Cafe. This is 2500 if you have 2 or more other Umamusume characters, and when this is sent from stage to waiting room, you can put the top card of your stock into clock to search your deck for a cost 0 character equal or lower than your level and place it on stage as rest. So a Summon Ricky. Pretty good card. It's unfortunately overshadowed by some of the other profiles like the Grass Wonder, which just allows you to grab a level 1 or lower character and then use it on the same turn. It just kind of suffers from being overshadowed by some of the better options. For our red double Rs, so we've already looked at, Jesus, there's 6 red double Rs in this set. So we've already looked at Machitan and Narita Brian. Moving on to these other ones that we haven't looked at yet. First, we have Kita-san Black Harikite Iko. And this is going to be a very familiar face to all of you mobile gamers. Funnily enough, this card is actually not really used that much in the Weiss Schwarz card game. This card has 2 effects. On play, you can buff any of your character's 1500 power, and then when this is sent from stage to waiting room, you can discard a card to look at up to 4 cards from the top of your deck for a level 1 or higher card, and add it to your hand and send the rest to waiting room. And this is just like a pretty useful utility effect for allowing you to get through the deck, but because the meta version of the deck has a lot of cards that already allow you to go through the deck so much with things like Medjuro Bright, Satono Diamond combo, and then your Sakura Chiyono Brainstorms, this Kita-san Black really doesn't see too much play in those builds. It's still a very usable card nonetheless, and you can splash it into pretty much any deck. It's just not like... It doesn't have a very, very strong niche. Nice Nature is kind of the same deal. This card says, at the start of your opponent's attack phase, you can mill the top card of your deck into your waiting room, and if that card was an Umamusume character, you can move this card to an open position of your front row. So it allows her to try to run away from danger. When this, and then additionally, when you play a Climax, you can pay 1 stock to look at up to 4 cards from the top of your deck and add an Umamusume character from among them to your hand. We commonly refer to this as an Amagi ability, and then we commonly refer to Kita-san Black's effect on death as a Fukujiro ability. Both solid cards, but they are just kind of like overshadowed by a lot of better options. But like honestly, like all of these, they could fit into pretty much any deck, and they could do a pretty solid job. Our last red double R is going to be the Simbali Rudolph early play. If you have 2 or less climaxes in your waiting room, this can be early played at level 2. On play, draw up to 2 cards, discard 2 cards, and put up to 1 card from the top of your deck into stock. And when this card attacks, you can pay 1, discard 1 to gain 2,000 power, and on reverse, burn 1. This is a card that this particular profile has actually seen quite a bit of play in Overlord. We actually just saw it come out in the Extra Booster for English. It's a 3/2 green Eins, and it is actually seeing quite a bit of play in JP in the standby versions of Overlord. So it's another card that I think has quite a bit of potential and could see play. It's just that I think the main problem with this card is that in set 1, red is a particularly weak color. Green and blue are typically going to be some of the most powerful cards, are going to have some of the most powerful cards that you can be running, and so they're going to be usually the priority colors. And yellow and red are a little bit off to the wayside in that respect. So it can be a little bit hard to kind of fit this card into your deck. Now, moving on to blue, we have Daitaku Heli... Oh, you know what? Hold up. Where is... Okay, I forgot about these 2 rares because they are events. So they were at the back of the sections in the playset. But these 2 events, so these ones can summon Uma characters from your deck in different ways. So Sasami Anshinzawa, so this is the acupuncture girl. So she has an effect where you can either choose one of your Uma characters, give it 5k and 2 soul until end of turn, or you can reveal the top card of your deck. If that card is an Umamusume character, put it on stage just like immediately. You just put it straight on stage. This is a really nice flavor card considering that Anshinzawa, when you encounter her in the scenario, she gives you different options for like what kind of like acupuncture you want. And then also like the RNG aspect of like revealing the top, and like sometimes you're going to hit and sometimes you're going to miss. And when you miss, you're going to be really, really sad. The Tazuna 3-0 event, it's basically a 10 roll. Or I guess it's an 11 roll in this case. So you play this, you rest one of your characters, and you look at up to 11 cards from the top of your deck, pick an Uma from among them, and just put it straight onto the stage and put the rest into your waiting room. And so the reason I pulled these 2 cards out is because they have pretty funny synergy with the Daitaku Helios level 0. This card says on play you can shuffle 2 characters back from your waiting room into your deck as cost. And then if you do, this card's soul does not decrease by side attacking this turn. But what you mainly care about is using that shuffle back 2 to get targets back into your deck to use for silly effects like this. So there's like a really funny deck where you use Daitaku Helios to shuffle back Daiwas and Vodkas, and then you play a bunch of Sasamis to summon them out of the deck after you've like gone down to like very little deck, and you're guaranteed to summon Daiwas and Vodkas, and then you just use them to change back and forth while you're still at level 2. So that's a very funny deck. Daitaku Helios' other effect, which is a lot more universally useful, is on play, pay 1, discard 1 to look at up to 3 cards from the top of your deck. Choose up to 1 of them, add it to your hand, and send the rest to waiting room. This can be used to grab climaxes if you don't already have one in your hand. But typically this card actually doesn't see very much play because Mejuro Bright in the level 1 line allows you to potentially grab a climax from the top 2, also not paying a stock, while also not clogging up your board with a 500 power body by allowing you to use Mejuro Bright's Inspire effect to throw herself underneath one of your characters as a marker. Our next double R. So for those of you mobile gamers, you guys know Kita-san Black is OP. And when you were rolling for Kita-san Black, you did not want to see this card. You did not want to see Satono Diamond. You wanted to see Kita-san Black in your rolls. Well, guess what? In the card game, Satono Diamond, this is the end-all be-all. This is the LeBron James of Umamusume. This card is one of the best cards in the set, and it is still seeing play to this day alongside her level 1 combo. So this Satono Diamond has an effect that we refer to as a clean cut. When this card reverses a battle opponent, you get to choose one of your other Umamusume characters, rest it, and move it to an empty slot in your back row if you have one. Additionally, when she's placed on stage from hand, if you have another Umamusume character, she gets an additional 1500 power, and on attack, you can look at the top card of your deck, and you can either leave it on top or put it on the bottom. Now, this is an extremely strong card with climax combos that have benefits from having a marker, such as, Satono Diamond from the trial deck. Earlier, I explained how the Tokai Teo level 0 allows you to basically get double value out of having a card that has a marker by moving it to your back row and preserving it for a future turn, allowing you to get the full power marker version of their effect without needing to actually get a new marker. Satono Diamond does the same thing. So if you use Satono Diamond's effect to take one of your cards that has a marker and move it to back row until next turn, you can then reuse it again for the full value on the following turn. And Satono Diamond is just the perfect card to do that. You can even do this at level 0, moving like your Brainstorm to your back row to allow you to preserve it for next turn, things like your Sakura Chiono. This is just an extremely powerful card. It's still seeing tons of use. You're going to be wanting to play this card at 4 in like every deck, every single deck. It's just super, super powerful. It does everything that Umamusume wants to do, all in one package. Moving on now to another level 1 combo. We have Mejuro McQueen. This is another blue level 1 combo that gets full value out of having a marker. So you can use this in conjunction with Satono Diamond Clean Cut as well. It's a 1/0 4K during your turn. If you have another Umamusume character, this gets plus 3000 power. And then on attack, climax combo with Pants. If you have 2 or more other characters, you get to top check up to 3. Choose up to 1 Umamusume character from among them, add it to hand, and send the rest to waiting room. And then if she has a marker underneath her, you can also choose a level 2 or higher character from your waiting room and return it to your hand. And so I feel like the play pattern between Mejuro McQueen differs from the play pattern for Satono Diamond. Satono Diamond, you really just want to be looping the combo over and over again, whereas with Mejuro McQueen, because her ability allows you to salvage a level 2 or higher character from your waiting room, really wants to pivot into the Mihono Bourbon and Rice Shower game plan. And, I mean, this is just like perfect Season 2 flavor, some Tenno Show Spring action. You go from Mejuro McQueen into Rice Shower, and Rice Shower gets her chance to be the hero later on as you transition into the late stages of the game. Whereas Satono Diamond typically wants to be paired with a climax combo like Curran-chan, or, okay, you know what, honestly, Satono Diamond can literally go into anything. Let's just not try to shoehorn her into any specific game plan. She just goes everywhere. Whereas Mejuro McQueen, I feel, is more suited to go into specifically the Rice Shower Mihono Bourbon game plan, as she allows you to easily collect those cards from your waiting room. Our final double rare. Oh boy, Gold Ship. Gold Ship goes where she pleases, and she does what she pleases. This climax combo it's not great, but it's pretty fun to use if you just want to just play a card that can just have wildly different results. Gold Ship is a 3/2 9K. During your turn, she gets plus 2K power. On play, you can heal 1, and then her climax combo activates 1 time per turn. When she attacks, if you have a climax combo, or if you have her Pants climax in your climax area, and she has a marker underneath her, you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it is an event or Umamusume character, you stand this card, and she gets plus 1000 power until end of turn. And if it is not, then you get the 12 billion yen incident. So that is going to be the Gold Ship finisher. If you just don't reveal the correct card off the top, she just doesn't stand, and she's just going to be stuck in the starting gate, and you lose. So that is going to do it for our Umamusume box opening and card review. This has been quite a long one, but of course, with this being such an oversized set with so much to talk about, both in relation to the actual card strategies and like the lore and with the video game and IRL and things like that, and the anime, there's just so much to talk about. So I hopefully you guys enjoyed this pretty deep dive into the set and everything that this set has to offer. And hopefully, for those of you who have come from outside of the usual Weiss Schwarz space, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video as well. And I hope to see you guys joining us in future Umamusume videos. We have upcoming on the channel. We will have our usual TD++ stuff with 2 TD++s to look at, as well as our deck profile and gameplay videos. So be sure to look out for those upcoming on the channel. Until then, this has been Randall, aka Shizukats, on the Tressa's Collectibles channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.